Okay, now we should be recording. Okay, one more time. We are a 527. It is a political organization. It's not a tax exempt organization. And we are not a 501c3, which is nonprofit. So always remember that we are not a nonprofit. Okay, going into tax exempt for federal income tax purposes. Dues, political contributions, sales proceeds are not subject to federal income tax. But, and you know, there's going to always be that one but. If your club has any investments, like a CD that they draw interest or dividends, you would need to file a Form 1120 POL if that investment income is more than $100. Now, I know most clubs are not going to have that, so you may not have to worry about that at all. The other thing is, if your gross annual proceeds are more than $25,000, you would file a Form 990. And I think, LaVon, you ran into that, didn't you, this year? Were you able to get that taken care of, LaVon?
I have not done it yet, but I will.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, you'll need to file a Form 8871 if your proceeds are over $25,000. And that's a form that you go online and you file it electronically. It's mostly an informational form. Okay. Also, I need to mention to you here, everything that I'm going over, I have it all typed up, and if you'd like for me to send it to you after this presentation, so you may not catch it or write it down in notes, I'll be happy to. Just email me at treasurer@tfrw.org, and I can send you this presentation. Contributions to 527s are not charitable donations and are not tax deductible to the donor. I believe most people know that when you donate to a political organization, you're not going to be able to write it off. Does anybody have any questions about what we just went over? Nope.
I have a question. You said the 8871 form, if your proceeds are over $25,000. Okay, what we have happening now, we've gone online a lot. And so a lot of our money is kind of just an in and an out. But from what I'm reading, it sounds like maybe we collect $25 for a lunch, but then we give that $25 to the restaurant. So the club is not making any money, but I think eventually it's going to show as proceeds on that money we collect.
Debbie, yes, anything that comes through your club, you have to consider that as revenue that has come into your club. And always remember, everything that comes in is considered political. So when the TEC report is filed, you show that as political contributions also. I know I think there's a place on there. I haven't done the TEC reports in probably 5 years, but I'm sure that's still there where it asks you if it's political or not. So yes, and the 25,000 is gross for the year. It's not your net, it's your gross. Okay, does that answer that question?
Can I add something?
Sure.
Our club charges $25, but we have our members make out the check to the facility instead of making it out to us, and that eliminates that problem if it's feasible for you.
Right. What we've found, we have one restaurant that will do that, but most of them, they want the driver's license and all kinds of ID put on the check, and that's just almost, so inefficient for getting people in and out of the event that we haven't done that. We've collected a lot of the money online through Club Express, but that now we have a digital record of it. So I'm just concerned that eventually we're going to get over that $25,000 mark.
Yeah,
Hi, Wendy. Good morning. I'm sorry I couldn't get in.
Oh, hi. Well, I'm glad you made it. And I just want to let you know, we are recording this session and we are taking questions right now about the club being considered a 527 and the forms that you would have to file if you make an investment income of more than $100, if your club does, or what we're just talking about now is the $25,000 gross proceeds for the year. If your club makes that, then you would need to file a form 1120 POL. Yeah, that's, you know, if you're a smaller club and you're in a restaurant that they will do that for you, that's great, because that would not count toward your revenue coming into your club. But I know a lot of clubs just are not able to do that. So you do have to count that.
I guess then the next question is, what are the ramifications if we go over 25,000? Is it a taxable, or is it?
It's really not taxable, but it's filed on a form 990, and it's just a requirement that is made of our organization as a 527 that we do report that. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions about that? Okay, we'll go on. Now, another question that I get a lot is sales tax. Okay, as I said, we are a tax exempt organization according to the IRS, but that does not mean that you are exempt from paying sales tax. Some people take it that way, but it's a difference. We have the IRS over here and we have the state over here. So if you are selling any items, you should have a sales tax permit number, an ID, and you should be, excuse me, paying sales tax. Where it gets to be very confusing is people all the time ask about, well, it's a donation. Okay, I'm going to go into that in just a minute. Before I go into that, I want to be sure and point out to you that you can get a sales and use tax resale certificate, and you can get it online at the comptroller's office, their website. And if you are purchasing items that you are going to sell, you can give this resale certificate to the vendor you're purchasing the items from, and they should not charge you sales tax, because you only pay sales tax one time on an item. So remember, if you're purchasing that, you want to give them this resale certificate. And again, I can send you this information just email me at treasurer@tfrw.org. And there may be a couple of you that weren't here when I made this announcement first. And I'll send you my presentation that I have typed up, and it's going to give you the website and how you get that form. I also have written several articles in the TFRW Today newsletter. One was June of 2020, and it was about this resale certificate. So do y'all understand that you can ask for it? And if you've paid it, you can send this to them and they should refund you that sales tax if you're going to resell that item, okay? Then we're going to go into this sales tax and donations. And I also wrote an article in September of 2020 that's in that newsletter, because there is a lot of confusion about this and what is actually a sale. Because you're going to hear all the time, oh, it was a donation. It was a silent auction and I made a donation, so it shouldn't be taxable. I did a lot of research on this, and I know you may have heard just the opposite from, I'm going to just say it, from some legal opinions, but I've done a lot of research, and I got in touch with the department that actually works with the 527s political organizations. And I talked to the lady, I had her send me the law, and in that article in September, I have all of that quoted. And so basically what it says is, a monetary donation is not subject to sales tax when the donor gives the funds voluntarily and does not receive a taxable item in exchange. But a sale does occur when the donation in quotes is the way I put it, is mandatory, and you receive an item for that. So that is a sale, even if it's a silent auction, because you're not going to get that item. You can't just walk up there and take that item. You're going to have to give some type of monetary exchange for it.
Right.
Okay, so that is a sale. Now you're going to hear from other organizations, no, it's not, it's a donation. You know, if you're in doubt, the past treasurer and I have talked about this. If you're in doubt about something, go with what your gut says you probably should be doing. And we always say, just pay the sales tax, because you may or may not get, audited, or no one may find out about it, but we need to do everything by the law that we can, because we're being watched by too many Democrat organizations.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to kind of leave it to you like that. Again, if I send you my presentation, it has all of this in writing.
Okay, so let me repeat it to make sure I understand it. So we should be having raffles, right? That's what you're telling
No
me.
raffles.
Okay, no raffles, no door prizes, none of that, right?
You could do a door prize if you don't charge for it. Like, we go into workshops a lot of times, or even, just whatever, some event where you go in and you may get a ticket, but you're not paying for it. And then during the meeting, they're going to say, oh, okay, I'm going to draw somebody's name now, and we have this door prize. That's okay. That's different.
All right.
You just
I
don't
understand.
want to be charging. And in a little bit, I have something called political fundraisers, what you need to know. And there's like 9 rules, very simple.
All right.
And I'm going to go over those if we have a chance. And if we don't, I actually can send them to y'all.
Would you please? Thank you.
I definitely will. It's from TEC, so we'll go over that. All right. Any other questions on any of that?
So Susan, along the lines of a door prize, then the only thing that we would have to report there is the value of whatever the door prize was. We either purchased it or it was donated to us, and so it was an in-kind donation or a purchase. We would put that in as funds expended by our PAC, GPAC.
Exactly. Good
Okay.
point. Yeah. Anytime someone donates something to your club,
Right.
they need to fill out an in-kind donation form. And if you go to the TFRW website, log in under, I believe it's members, and then it's general forms and documents.
Right.
Somewhere on there is an in-kind donation form.
All right. Thank
If
you.
you have trouble finding it, go ahead and just email me and I'll make sure I can get it for you. Someone had asked me to put in my email address. I'm going to do that right now. It's treasurer@tfrw.org. Someone says, can you charge the sales tax back to the buyer of the auction item? Usually what is done with that is you have, when they donate, when they buy the item for say $10, the treasurer then, when filing that sales tax report, there's a formula for figuring out what that sales tax would be, and it would add up to the $20. It's like you take $20 and you divide it by 1.0825. That gives you the sales tax. So your item you're selling is, say, $19.40. The rest would be your sales tax. That's how that's figured. And again, if you have a question about that, email me and I'll make sure I get you that formula and tell you how to figure that. Also,
Thank
if
you.
you don't have a sales tax ID, just go to the state comptroller's website. It's pretty easy to find the link where you apply for it. It's like on the home page. Okay.
All right.
All right. Any other questions on that?
No.
Okay, if not, we'll go on.
I have one question.
Sure.
Okay, so you said that it's not taxable if it's not mandatory. Like if you have a silent auction and you have in-kind donations, and then people go and look at what is, what has been given to the club, and they can purchase it or not purchase it. It's really up to them. And if nothing is, if you have very few things that are purchased, it's not a mandatory situation. So sales tax, it shouldn't be required for that.
Well, if nobody's purchasing, if no one's purchasing the item or paying for it.
But what if they do, but it's not mandatory that they do?
Well, if you have a silent auction and someone, I mean, you're not going to just let someone pick up that item and take it home for nothing.
No, it would be up to them what they want to pay for it.
Correct.
They put in their bid.
I see what you're saying. No, it doesn't matter if you have a price on it or not.
Okay.
But if money is exchanged for that item, even though it's called a donation, it's still taxable.
Okay.
I would like to be able to send y'all the law on that. And again, it's also in the TFRW Today article in the newsletter from September 2020. I have that law in there.
Not quite right.
And I believe it's explained pretty well. I mean, you have to read it several times to really get it, but basically it just says if you exchange any money for any item, that's a sale. Okay?
Yes.
Explain it enough?
So can you charge back the sales tax to the person that bought the silent auction item?
Well, that would be up to you. I mean, you can. I think I understand what you're saying. You would want the person to pay sales tax on $20 for sure.
Yes.
So, is that what you're saying?
Yes. And most of the time with the silent auction, these are in the hundreds.
Okay.
I mean, we've even had someone that paid over $2,800 for auction items, and we didn't charge the sales tax back to them.
Okay.
And I'm wanting to do that because it was coming out of our funds to pay our sales tax.
Okay, now I'm going to tell y'all just a little something that I really don't really. I think it gets to be very confusing for people, but if someone purchases an item, and I'm going to give you this example, if it's a $25 bottle of wine and they pay $1,000 for it, a lot of that would be considered donation where you would not have to pay sales tax. But when you just start doing that, then you're kind of getting in this area. Well, I could do it for this other item. They paid $50 and it was only worth $25. I just wouldn't go there with things like that. But on your $2,800 purchase, what was the item actually worth?
Well, let's see, there were 2 quilts, and several other items. So they added up to the, the quilts were worth $500, $600, $700. They bid on them.
Each?
Oh, one quilt went for $800. I bought both of them. The other one went for $500.
Okay.
We have a big supporter.
Yeah, and that's great. I think, well, let me just tell you, TFRW, what we do is when we have all of these items that are sold, in a silent auction or whatever, we don't go to the person and say, okay, well, you owe this much more with sales tax. We just take the hit and we figure what the sales tax is for that total amount of sales for that event, okay? Now, I would say one thing you could do is you could just note on your sheet that you will pay the additional sales tax. So when they check out, if you want to charge them that additional amount, which is usually, like here, it's 8.25%. I mean, I think that's kind of up to you.
Okay, because we paid almost $1,000 in state sales tax last year. And
Yeah,
that's big. I mean,
I get it.
I've gone back 5-6 years on the taxes, and it's like, oh my God, people came out of the woodwork this year and bought.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, but it can run us in the ground.
Yeah, well,
I was gonna say
Carla?
this does not apply, but if they're paying, let's say there's like the concept of, are they paying the reasonable price? And then the rest is a donation, because let's say they bought a book, but they're trying to give you a bunch of money and the book's worth $20 and they give you $1,000.
mhm.
It's complicated, but really the fair market value is what you tax them on, and the rest is donation. So if they're just wildly overpaying market value, you can split it, but it does get super complicated that way. But if
No, he wasn't
really the value of the
overpaying.
good, then you have to.
No, he wasn't overpaying. These quilts are quite
Okay.
they're art quilts, and they are quite expensive. So he didn't overpay because
Okay.
that was bidden against him. But all the other items in the silent auction or the live auction, some of those, majority of them, except for what this one person bought, went under what it was worth. Well, even his did. They were under what they were worth. One of those art quilts should have been, I think it was said it was worth $1,500. If none of you in an art quilt, you have no idea how much work and money goes into them.
Sure. Yeah, I don't know that you could do it now, going back to them and saying, I need this much for sales tax. But I think in the future, what you could do is, like, if somehow or another, if you have a sheet of paper there that they're bidding on, or however you're doing it, you make sure that people know they would be paying an additional amount for sales tax in addition to what they've bid on it.
That's what we
now, whatever you think you can do, if you want to go back to them and ask them for the sales tax, that's kind of up to you.
No, we're not going to go back and ask them, but I've looked at building it right into the charge card.
Well, that's more or less up to you, however you want to handle it. I just want to make sure that people know that those are taxable items. Okay. I want to move on here because we're getting about 10 minutes away from closing time. Disclaimers. Do you all understand that you need to have a disclaimer? It's mandatory that you use them on all materials that are sent out by your club, including electronic, whether or not an elected official or candidate is mentioned. And federal candidates and elected office holders, when present at any event or meeting, you must have a federal disclaimer displayed. And again, I can send you a copy of, there's several different ones you can use. So I would suggest you all just, email me at the treasurer@tfrw.org, and I'm going to send you all of this information. Then there was the other thing about TEC political fundraisers and what you need to know. I have the website for it that I can send you with this information that I want to email you. And just quickly, I'm going to go over a couple of the rules. These are pretty simple ones. Rule 1, file a campaign treasurer appointment. You all have done that at the beginning of the year, I'm sure, if you're a PAC treasurer. If you change during the year to a different PAC treasurer, you need to do the same thing. Rule number 2, no raffles. Absolutely no raffles. You can do door prizes, you just can't charge for them.
Okay.
Okay.
Would that be the silent auction also, Susan? Would that be considered like a raffle?
No.
So that's totally different.
That's different. That is not a raffle. Okay.
Thank you.
There is a rule number 3 that says no cash contributions over $100. But Levon and I discussed this one yesterday. It does not apply to us because we are a general purpose committee. This one applies to specific purpose committees. So just kind of ignore that rule number 3. Now, it says you can do checks. Those committees can take checks. But again, just ignore that one because we're general purpose. Rule 4, auction activity is reportable. The main thing about this one is it says an item donated to an auction at a fundraiser is an in-kind donation, and you need to report that to your PAC treasurer, to TEC. No anonymous contributions is rule number 5. In other words, do not pass the hat or a jar and have people dropping money in it, because as you all know, we have to have a record of every person that gives any amount of money, address, name, and occupation. Okay. Rule number 6, no contributions from corporations or labor organizations. Don't take a check from an LLC. And there is an exception, but the exception is this. Let me read it. It says that this prohibition also applies to other organizations such as partnerships and limited liabilities companies if they are owned by a corporation or include an incorporated member or partner. I'd say if you want to just, be safe, tell the person, I'll take a personal check, but I can't take one from your LLC. Okay. All right. Rule number 7, no contributions from foreign nationals. I think we probably wouldn't have much of a problem with that. And then rule number 8 is no misuse of government property to campaign. I think that just kind of tells you what that is. And again, I will send you these rules.
All right.
I'll make
Thank you.
a copy of these. Okay. Anything else that you might have a question? I mean, with just your day-to-day activities as treasurer, or something else you can come up with?
So Susan, before we go into that handout that you were reading from is actually out on the Texas Ethics Commission website. And I gave a link to that to Susan yesterday when we were discussing the no cash donations over $100 in a reporting period from any one person. So hopefully she'll have that in her notes out to us, and you guys can get that directly from the horse's mouth.
I do have that.
Thank you,
I do have that in this presentation because it's kind of a long website, but yeah, I have that. Anybody else?
I can't think of anything right now. I'm sure when we're done, I'll think of something.
Well, and again, I just want you all to know I'm available all the time for questions. Email me. I'm sitting at my computer most of the day, so I'll always get your email and I'll try to get you the answer as quick as possible. Yeah, just email me. In fact, a lot of what we went over today seemed to be the most asked topics that people question. I was going to tell you the other thing is, if you'll go back in, I try to write an article almost every month. So you can go into the TFRW website. There's a link for all the news articles, the newsletters every month. You can click on those. And if you want to look for mine, they're in there. In fact, what I'm going to do also is send you a list that has all of my articles and what they were about. And my April one that's coming up is going to be about file retention. Some of you may have paper documents that was just given to you. It may be boxes, a box full that you're wondering, do I need to keep these or not? You will get in this next newsletter what you need to keep, and even it addresses electronic records. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good, Susan. Thank you.
Well, thank you all for attending, and please just email me anytime.
All right.
Somebody wrote, are there instructions to upload a spreadsheet to the report? How to set it up? That's for TEC reporting, I'm assuming. Let's see, Christina.
Yes, ma'am.
To be honest with you, I don't have the answer to that. I will ask Gwen. Some of you may know that already. Carla, are you still there? You're a PAC treasurer. Do you know about that?
Yes, I just am working on my very first filing. So I did get one from our prior PAC treasurer with the headings and the spreadsheet. So I just started using what she gave me, and I was able to successfully upload it. So do you want me to send like a sample to Susan, or just if Susan wants to get her sample from her PAC treasurer? And I can't remember the name of the website offhand, but it's the reporting one.
Well, I should be able to download from QuickBooks. Yes. And I mean, if I have to doctor it or whatever, and then upload it to the GPAC.
I'm
trying to figure out how you do that.
It's I don't use QuickBooks, but the format is super specific for the PAC stuff.
Christina, have you called TEC about it?
No, ma'am. Usually I work with the one of the treasurers that did it for 6 years.
Okay.
And we've only uploaded once from a fish fry, and it was like, she did it so fast that I did not get it written down.
Okay, I would suggest you call TEC. I can ask Gwen for you and see if she has something she can send you, but I would also suggest call TEC. I found that when I was a PAC treasurer for my club, they were always very helpful. So that would be my answer. Ladies, I think we're going to have to sign off here. So we only have 2 more minutes, but thank you all so much. And I hope this helps.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Susan.
Thanks for making this available online.
Oh,
Yes.
great. I'll get this to y'all. Just email me with your email address. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Susan.
Bye.